So let's bring in the Klattster, lead college football guy for Fox Sports. So your last mock had only 2 quarterbacks in the first round, Burrow and Tua. This one has the Dolphins taking Justin Herbert at 18. What changed for you?
Well, I think that you have to understand that, like, mocks for me are equal parts my own evaluation and what I think is going to happen. So that's kind of a combination for me. Listen, if I was making the decision, I wouldn't draft Herbert in the first round. Having said that, I absolutely think he will get drafted in the first round.
Wow.
So I put him to the Dolphins at 18.
6'5", big arm, runs well, 4-point student. You got him. Where do you got him going to?
I have him
18.
going to
18.
Miami at 18, right? I mean, that's
right.
Here's the thing with Herbert. I love everything that you said, but skill sets don't necessarily equate to success in the National Football League. The bottom line in this league is that you've got to throw the football on time and on target, and most of the time those are anticipatory throws. That's the biggest area of struggle he has. He is a blunt force instrument at quarterback. He is not surgical. He makes the wrong decisions quite often, but he gets away with it at the college level because he's got such a talented arm. I don't think he's going to be afforded that opportunity when he gets to the NFL. I think he reminds me of Allen in Buffalo. If you like Allen in Buffalo, which I'm a bit skeptical of, then I think that you're going to love Herbert. But for me, I want guys that make much better decisions and pass the football rather than throw the football. You see, here's the difference, Colin. There's guys out there that are such talented throwers of the football, and that's all well and good. And you know what they do? They hypnotize people like you. But I want people that pass the football, okay? I want people that know how to attack the defense, anticipate throws, and pass the football with a great amount of efficiency.
Yeah, that sounds good until you need a howitzer, and you got Joe Burrow's arm, and I got a seed over there going 108 from Justin Herbert. I think arm strength matters still.
Did you watch last night the rerun of Super Bowl 50? Peyton Manning could not throw the football through a wet paper bag, and they won the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. When did arm strength equate to success in the NFL?
Peyton Manning's.
Because if it did, Jeff George would still be in the league. Jamarcus Russell would still be in the league. Kyle Bowler would still be in the league, and they're not. You know why? Because it doesn't matter how far you throw it if there's no one there to catch it.
You can't use Peyton Manning. I mean, Peyton Manning's brain, if it was a person, would walk by Bill Gates' brain and say, talk to the hand. Little brain. He's the smartest guy to ever play the position.
Exactly. The position is about decision-making. It's about being surgical in the way that you attack the defense. It's about a big brain. That's the point.
Okay, so I look at this. You know, you bang on the SEC all the time. It's very unfortunate.
Untrue.
All I see is a dozen SEC guys. Let's be honest. Let's be totally honest. Take out Ohio State. And the Big Ten's not even the same conference. I can take out Alabama. Hell, I got Georgia players, LSU players, Auburn players. Let's just admit it now. The SEC is easily the best conference based on your mock draft.
They're easily the most talented conference, in particular at the top end. And I've said that for a long time. I understand it. You get beat soundly in an argument, so you try to stir it up like that and say that I pound on the SEC. I pound on the middle and bottom of the SEC.
Well, the middle and bottom is terrible everywhere.
I give them a lot of credit. Listen, Alabama's about to have 5, maybe 6 guys drafted in the first round. I believe in my last mock, because I moved Diggs up there to the 31st pick with San Francisco, the corner from Alabama. I've got 6 Bama guys going in the first round. I believe I've got 3 or 4 different LSU players going. There's no doubt that at the top end, in particular when you're talking about the best 3, maybe even include 4 and 5 schools in the SEC, that is where the NFL goes for their talent. And it's certainly going to be obvious tomorrow night on Thursday night. Top end of that conference, second to none, no question.
By the way, I'm going to throw a guy out. I love Andrew Thomas at Georgia. Yeah. And it's so funny because we're talking about this weight room guy in Iowa, and we're talking about this kid at Louisville who makes splash plays. And, of course, anybody on the offensive line from Bama gets love. Andrew Thomas at Georgia, I think he may have started as a freshman. He's big.
He did.
Yeah, like he was dominant early. You have him going. You have the Dolphins taking him at 5. It's fascinating because I think he may be the most I don't see him in anybody's top 10. I think when I watch a lot of SEC football. He is a neutralizer, and he faced the best defensive ends in the country in that conference. What do you know about
Well, I think that all of the offensive linemen the tackles are really good. I agree with you. I love Andrew Thomas's game. I think it's a bit short-sighted to just say worse from Iowa as a weight room guy when you look at his explosion and athleticism and what he can do. I mean, he ran 4.8 in the 40, he broad jumped 10 feet. I mean, he's not just a weight room warrior. I am a little concerned about the Louisville kid because there's some concerning medical information out there about him that teams are circling around right now, in particular with his knees. Andrew Thomas seems to be the safest pick because of all the things that you just mentioned. And I love him. I really do, and which is why I moved him up. And also remember, Colin, just in the nature of this draft, as we sit here and we think about players and we're debating whether you're going to take a risk or not take a risk on players, this is going to be the year where the least amount of risks are taken by these teams because they don't have the information and this is the important point, you cannot have a robust discussion on a Zoom conference call. I mean, everybody out there is nodding their head like, yep, we all just sit there staring into our cameras, and you can't hear anybody unless you're the only one speaking. And there's not a robust discussion whatsoever. So what you're going to have is that no one's going to be able to pound the table and say, no, don't worry. I've checked out his medical if I'm the doctor, or I've broken down the tape. This is the way that I, see some of the mistakes that he made on the field. This is what I dug into as far as the character concerns that he has. You're not going to have that robust discussion. So let's get back to your point. Andrew Thomas, probably the safest offensive tackle, and that's why I moved him up as the first offensive tackle off the board to a team that desperately needs one in Andrew and the Miami Dolphins.
Here's an interesting one. Now you have Joe Burrow going 1 to the Bengals, and you have the next quarterback taken, the Chargers at 6 to Tua. Here's what's really interesting. I thought about this last night. Now, I think the Chargers move up to get Justin Herbert, but here's where I could possibly be way wrong. Tua, because he played at Bama, and because of the hip, is kind of a star. We don't even use his last name. We just call him Tua. And that's what we do with stars. Cher, LeBron. Tua's becoming a star. Part controversy equals star. What do the Chargers need? They need stars. So they have Tyrod Taylor, who they've told me, listen, we're starting him this year. With no OTAs or camp, and because of the hip, the Chargers can take Tua. It's actually an advantage because they can just say he's not ready to play. But if for a team that's the number 2, I would say the number 3 football team in L.A. behind the Rams and USC, that Tua does bring a little bit of a rock star quality. I mean, I want to go see him play. He has a Baker Mayfield thing. I have to watch him play. I got to see if he busts or not. This Tua thing, and by the way, Joel, the Chargers are good enough that if they miss on Tua, they could still win 10 games next year. So do you believe the Chargers like Tua better than Herbert?
Well, I think that there's a split in most rooms after you get done with the discussion of Joe Burrow. I think there are teams that would draft Tua and they would take the risk on the injuries. There are teams that like Justin Herbert because he's a bit of the safer pick, even though he clearly has some elements of his game that don't translate to the NFL. So I think it's going to be team specific. If it was me, I would be more on the take the chance on Tua because of all the reasons that I was talking about earlier when we were talking about quarterback play. He makes great decisions. He throws the football on time and on target. He is quick and explosive with his release. The only thing that I question about his game is that he thinks he's more elusive than he is. So, Colin, he gets himself into trouble not because he holds the ball due to the fact that he doesn't know where to go with it. He holds it because he thinks he can evade, and yet he can't evade completely. So he gets caught up on and rolled up on, and that's how he hurt both of his ankles and ultimately fractured his hip. If he can change that element of his game, I love this pick, and you would have more of a robust conversation about he or Joe Burrow at the top. So for me, I would absolutely take that risk, even if I was maybe Miami. But I think he fits better for some of the reasons that you said with San Diego. They don't have to throw him out there right away. They can let him heal, let him develop a little bit. They can get a little bit of buzz, in particular with an organization that desperately needs it in this town moving into a new building. And he certainly, like you said, has some of that star power.
By the way, you have A.J. Epinesa for the Iowa Hawkeyes dropping to 32.
Hey, by the way, just because he's from Iowa doesn't mean you can mispronounce his name.
No,
it's Epinesa. Put some respect on the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Okay. It's a very fine program. Every time they beat Northeast Iowa, I sit and cheer. So,
you're the worst.
So I did have an executive tell me about a month ago, they're like, he's not that athletic. We don't.
No, he's not.
He's not.
But he's really strong at the point of attack.
Well,
here's the thing: is he's scheme diverse. He can play in a 3-4 or a 4-3 as a defensive end. He's highly productive. He's high character. He's more athletic than you think. I understand that's what a GM said, but remember now, if you just go back to his high school days, he was a state champ in the discus. He set state records.
What state? What state?
1,000 points on the hardwood as a basketball player.
What state?
And he's highly productive getting to the quarterback. He's got really strong hands and he's good at the point of attack.
Okay, Tom. What state was he a good basketball player?
Iowa.
Well, what does that mean? They're not even as good as Indiana in basketball. That means nothing. He threw a javelin in Iowa. That doesn't mean anything.
And you grew up in the state of Washington.
I'm not getting drafted in the first round, Klatt. Hey, he was the second in the state and throwing a skinny pole down the street in Iowa. That doesn't mean anything to me.
The pole is a javelin. I said discus.
Okay, hold on. Joel Klatt has his mock draft on foxsports.com and at NFL on Fox. He's with Glazer and Schrager tomorrow, 8 Eastern, all brought to you by Lowe's. You're going to have a lot of fun on that. I'll be listening, Klattster, and continue. Your family is hopefully safe. I know they are. We talk.
Yes.
And
hey, real quickly, a guy that keep your eye on, guys love him, Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver from Arizona State.
Yep. I have him going to Tennessee. Where do you have him going?
I have him going to Philadelphia with the 21st pick. I think Doug Peterson is going to love that guy.
Good talking to you.
You as well. Stop bagging on Iowa.
No, that's a fine state. I fly over it regularly. It is a fine state. It is
You are the worst.
Just joking. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.